Hey there, it's just a quick video about exercising for fitness and health loss, fitness and weight loss even, health loss. It's mostly about an article on Mark's Daily Apple called The Best Exercise There Is, Hands Down. And it goes into it, and basically the sum total of the article is that the best exercise is the one that you'll actually do. And it sounds like a bit of a weird, cheesy, cliche, hippie shit answer, but it is actually really good. What is quite annoying to me is that quite often people will ask me, what do you think is the best exercise to achieve fat loss or to get healthier and stuff? And in that case, they're asking what the best exercise is. I'll always give them a list of stuff, and it'll be stuff like, avoiding eating processed foods, cutting down your sugar. If you're after weight loss, there's going to be a period of reducing your carbohydrate intake, possibly really, really low, depends on where you are. But if you've got somebody who's very overweight, they're going to have problems with insulin, they're going to have problems with their glucose handling, they're going to have problems like that, and they're also going to have a problem with the ability to actually use fat for fuel. And that's one of the things that people don't understand, is that it's not about cutting the carbs. Isn't about cutting the carbs, it's about enabling your body to use the fat. And if you didn't have a problem using fat, you wouldn't be fat. Because frankly, the body only stores fat when it hasn't got much choice one way or the other. One way is you're flooding the body with extra calories, it has to get rid of them somehow, and you don't have the genetics to just ramp up temperature, which is what happens to most people. And the other one is that once they are stored, you can't access them anymore, and that's why fat people feel, and that's why people are overweight. I don't like using the word fat, but whatever. People are overweight who are constantly hungry. The reason why they're constantly hungry is because they cannot access the stored fat as fuel. And it's one of those things where, this is the problem. The problem is you can't access it. It's not the problem they're eating too much. They're eating too much as a consequence of not being able to access the stored fat. What's it got to do with exercise? When people ask me for advice, these days I don't really like giving advice, and the simple reason is people don't follow it. Frankly, as I say, I'll give them the eating advice, which is the most important, more often than not, and there'll be exercise advice, and I'll say, well, yeah, don't do running, cardio, and classes and stuff, because they're not really very effective. You want to be using muscular resistance work, like weights or similar. And then people get put off, well, I don't really want to lift weights. And the reality is that whenever you give somebody advice, what they're going to do is they're going to take the bits they like and then discard the bits they don't like, and then at some point down the line they're going to turn and be like, well, I followed your advice and it didn't work for me. And then when you get down to it, you look at it and go, well, you didn't. I gave you sort of like, six recommendations for you to do, and of those 6 you did the 3 of them, and you did 3 of them in a really shit way, so you didn't actually even do the 3 I gave you. You probably focused on the one thing that was really easy to do, and unsurprisingly the thing that was really easy to do was the least relevant of the 6 things I gave you. I give out, someone have said to me, what would you do? And I say, I give them fine-tuning bits, and they avoid all of the big stuff, and they just stick to the fine-tuning bits. I'll reduce my caffeine intake. If you've got somebody who's very fat and they're drinking a lot of caffeine, and they're drinking caffeine because they need the energy, that means there's something wrong, and the caffeine is becoming a crutch. And quite often, cutting the caffeine for a period, maybe even completely, for a while, and then putting it back in later, will fix the crutch. It won't always, in fact quite often it won't, but it's a fine-tuning thing, and it's utterly irrelevant compared to the stop eating so many carbohydrates, stop eating so much junk food side of things. But the person will go away and they'll cut the caffeine, and they'll come out 6 weeks later, I haven't really lost any weight. Well, all you've done is cut caffeine, which is an irrelevance in the big scheme of things. It might apply to it, it might give you a 2% advantage in the grand scheme of things, but the reality is, if you're going out, if you're washing your diet 5 days a week, and then every weekend you're getting smashed, then it's not going to make any difference. Chances are those 2 days of getting smashed and eating whatever shit junk food you want to eat is going to undo those 5 days of work. You're better off in that instance seeing to a more casual approach, because I hate using the word moderation in this sort of thing, or a balanced conversation. I hate having balance and moderation used in the video, because the reality is, in order to have a moderate approach, you have to know what moderate means, and nobody does yet. So if you're going to do that, then you are better off just sticking to a more tailored approach that you can stick to daily, 7 days a week, rather than going super strict for 5 days a week and then 2 days a week just eating junk food the entire time. But it always happens. People always sit to think. Now, the reason why this has got relation to the article is that he has on there, he has the best exercise to do is the one you're actually going to do. And one of those has on there says that sprinting makes you lean and fast unless you're not sprinting. And that's great, because, you know, I recommend sprint training. Because sprint training is ideal because it automatically gravitates to your fitness level. You can't sprint faster than your body can actually sprint. It's impossible. So you can't overdo it. If your idea of sprinting is going as fast as you can for 5 seconds, and I can go as fast as I can for 10 seconds, and my speed is twice as fast as you for twice as long, it doesn't matter, because that's my ability. You need to worry about your ability. But I see people doing sprint training, doing a casual jog. I see people going out for a run, and I'm walking past them in the park. Let's just be clear. No matter how unfit you are not running if I'm overtaking you while walking. You're not running. And no doubt somebody will cry, oh, but what happens if that's the limit of their ability? It doesn't matter if it's the limit of their ability. They're still not running. They're walking with an exaggerated pace. That's what they're doing. They're moving their legs further, but not going any faster than a walk. You're wasting your time. If that's you, if you're doing a run or a jog and you're going slower than another person who's walking, even if you're 80, you're not running. You might as well just walk. You'd probably get better health benefits from actually walking in that instance. Yeah? And I'm not particularly ragging on running here, although I will stand by my point that running isn't a great fat burning exercise. It's very good at weight loss, but weight loss and fat loss are two different things, and it's actually really good at fitness improvement, but fitness improvement and fat loss are also two different things. It's kind of like one of those 3 circle diagrams where there's a bit of an overlap in the middle, where one side of it is health, one side of it is fitness, and the third side of it at the bottom is performance, because quite often performance, which can be fitness and health, when you go one way too far in them, you actually end up pulling away from the overall goal. If you go because I mean, you know, if you start running marathons and stuff, there's a definite health trade-off when you're running 26 miles in one go, and anybody who's denying that is fooling themselves. You know, you're making the decision to go for fitness over health. Fitness is more important, and that's absolutely fine if fitness is more important. If you're more dedicated to running marathons than you are to your current state of health overall, that's acceptable. That's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But let's not dress it up and pretend it to mean it's not. This is already now bloody 8 minutes long because I waffle a lot. Sorry about that. So, and the other one they have on there is, you know, I mean, other ones were squats and deadlifts. They are great exercises, making you stronger, and they absolutely are, but only if you're actually doing them properly. Squats done incorrectly aren't going to make you strong, fit and healthy. They're just not. You're just faffing around. If you're doing some kind of weird deep knee bend exercise, then you might as well just not bother doing it. So I was hearing people, I can't squat down that low as I need to. Really? How the fuck do you get onto and off the toilet? When I see people squatting in the gym and they're squatting less distance than when they're going for a shit, I think, what do you think you're doing? You're not incapable of getting off the toilet, so you're just wasting your time. You might as well get on the treadmill along with all the other losers and walk along for an hour and then walk away going, I've been to the gym, now I'm going to eat 6 fucking Mars bars because I'm a moron. Okay. That's it. I really struggle with videos. I get derailed, I get distracted, but it's just something I saw today on Mark's Daily Apple, which I will put the link in the video info box because it is interesting and good read. Yeah.